Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blues Talk. Again, John, Dave and myself are going to look back over Leinster's victory against Northampton Saints in the Aviva Stadium last weekend. All the other European action. Look forward to our game against Ulster on Friday. So lads, a pretty comprehensive victory, 50 points to 21 against the Saints in the Aviva.
Yeah, hard to complain about it. It was an excellent performance again. It's getting tedious how good we are. No, I mean, we played really, really well. I thought, the way we started off, I thought we were absolutely going to eviscerate them. But I suppose to a certain extent, after we got the 4 tries, an understandable amount of complacency maybe.
Yeah, but we conceded 3 tries. I wouldn't say it was the perfect performance
not by any means. No.
No, well, it was great fun, let's face it.
But again, I thought actually it was quite a facile victory because the match was over at 10 minutes. When it was 17-0, it was over then, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
It's a fair point.
Like they came back, and then it was, they scored their try, a great try actually, and the one that popped up.
That was the closest it got, I think, wasn't it? 7-7 or something.
Yeah, something like that. But once we scored our 3rd try, then it was curtains.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, it was fairly facile, but even when it is like that, you still have to play well.
Yeah,
and we did. And so, just to say, the guys who had been benched the previous week, particularly Tyke Furlong,
he was
came out steaming. Like they really were up for. I thought Scott Farley was superb as well. Of the guys who had been benched, no, I mean not everyone played well in patches and stuff, but that's
Yeah, it was great, and like you say, it's getting boring. We'd have to throw the game in Thomond Park over Christmas just to take the kind of boring look of
it. Yeah, but like when you see someone like Larmour and the way he can run and split defences, like we've seen it a couple of times in Northampton, definitely saw it maybe 2 or 3 times in the Aviva.
Mm-hmm.
His running from the backfield is just spectacular. Like that one where he ran
beat 6 or
John Bentley-esque, where he slalom through, jumped out of tackles and sidestep. It was
like watching a bunny or something. It was like watching the Duracell bunny running it. I saw actually, speaking of Duracell bunny, I saw an interesting
vibrator.
An interesting interview with Stuart Lancaster in the Irish Times, where he was saying that a good fullback can feel the ball no matter where it's coming from, blah 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 blah. Which we're kind of spoiled with Gervin Dempsey, Rob Kearney, etc. And now Jordan Larmour has it, but he says a lot of fellas like Jordan Larmour can do it by their sheer speed and the fast twitch muscle fibers, blah 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 blah, and that they actually tire after doing it. As you could probably see, I think Robbie Henshaw was a bit like that when he played for Ireland. The fullback, he fielded it all right, but he kind of ran out of steam a bit. And he says that's what happens to guys, but Larmour can do it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and then when he gets the ball, he can run back at you like.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of moving.
Like there's no tomorrow.
When you're a fullback, there's an awful lot of moving around. I mean,
well, not if you're smart. See,
no, but I mean, you still have to. You still have to track the ball back.
You have to learn that. We saw him against Toulouse last season.
Exactly.
And he was quite. He was.
Callow.
He didn't have that.
A novice kind of, and maybe I'm trying to think of the right word.
Callow.
Yeah, and like he just wasn't reading the plays and just didn't have the experience to know where to go, where to cover, what angle you can cover various different spaces for 2 spaces at once.
It's like he's been inhaling Rob Kearney's brain for the last
he's got 20 more games for Leinster and 10 games for Ireland under his belt in that time, and it's only experience,
Not that many at fullback though.
Well, he's last 2 in fullback. Like he's been coming on for Ireland. Like you're still playing at that level.
I mean, in fairness, if you're going to do a course in studying Rob Kearney, he's had the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
No, I mean that's one thing I did notice was his fielding.
Big
on
time,
Saturday. You kind of expect the other stuff from him because we've seen it in bits and pieces.
I
don't think he's ever put it all together.
I think it's covering. It's where to start, where to cover in defence. Like we saw him in Toulouse. He was caught out terribly for 2 of their tries.
Yeah.
He was in no man's land. He didn't know who to take. And okay, maybe. I mean, I'm still concerned that we conceded 3 tries in the Aviva Stadium, like to Northampton. We're fantastic going forward, but like, yeah, you're going to come up against.
They score 3, we score 7.
Doesn't matter. We're playing against a shit team. If we're playing against Saracens, Racing, Claremont, they won't concede 7. But if we're conceding 3 to Northampton, I would have a little
I
bit
don't know
of
if
concern.
Claremont are conceding 4 to Bath.
No, Simon Zebo won't have the puff to run around there in Armour. Come on.
Well,
I don't think anyone has the puff to run around Simon Zebo.
he's getting a bit chubby, isn't he?
It's ridiculous.
Says 3 fat blokes.
I know, yes. We're allowed.
We're allowed to judge. I mean, you
It's
know,
like us saying
we're
Naomi
not
Campbell's put on a bit of weight. and
none of us are doctors, but we all know what a fat fella looks like.
That's true. You have mirrors.
But no, I mean, yeah, you're right. But there's an element of I think that stopping them scoring after we'd scored 20 odd points and letting in one.
But that,
Sorry,
didn't happen.
It is disappointing.
we didn't score 20 and let them
Okay,
in.
we scored left it in for 2 after scoring 20 odd points. It is disappointing, but there's an element. Once you get that bonus point and you know you're going to win, and if that point comes so early in the match or relatively early in the match, it's very, very hard to
Well,
keep
it came on
focus.
35 minutes there,
Yeah.
so it's half the match.
You have to say kudos to Northampton for keeping fighting
But like,
till the end.
can I just make one point? I
Not-
couldn't
not
get
all
over
teams
the
would.
idiots in the stand that
Oh.
were booing. I mean, I really
that's
have an
really
issue with
pissing
that.
me off, yeah.
Like, I don't mind someone booing an incident, like if there's a late tackle or if someone. It's a bit of pantomime, right?
Yeah.
But for when a guy like Dan Biggar, who has more talent in his little finger than the majority of the people in that stadium have in their entire body, gets substituted after 70 minutes and he gets booed as he's walking to the absolutely disgraceful.
I wasn't at the match.
Absolutely
Were they
disgraceful.
booing Dan Biggar?
Yeah,
That's a disgrace.
See, well, there was a couple of incidents because Dan Biggar decided to take a quick drop goal when the referee called back the controversial try that they scored, where it might have been where he had a look for whether or not it was obstruction, and also he drew the referee's attention to the one that Dave Carney scored that was disallowed because it went forward and then eventually was caught for ahead of the kicker. But Dan, I mean, it was exactly what Sexton does. Yet,
Yeah.
That's his job.
It's his job, and to tell you, he kind of showed an interest in wanting to try and keep playing and win that game when some of his colleagues weren't.
In fairness, a losing bonus, a try bonus point could have got them up the ladder a
Well,
little
they're
bit.
9 points. They're not out
Would
of
have
it
put them
yet.
on 10 points. I reckon they're going to get through. But it would have been a little bit handier to get through
Yeah, yeah.
if they.
And the other side of things is he was right on both occasions.
Yeah.
You know, that's.
Yeah, no, I thought it was poor form now, and I appreciate.
Although I will say, funny enough, that whole taking the drop goal conversion quickly anymore doesn't watch referees.
No, I know.
They will go and look at it.
And the referee actually said, "Sorry,
Yeah.
why did you stop that?" I know that, but it is the heat of the moment.
Oh yeah,
But-
well, it's the right thing to do.
But like there was, like our average crowd is probably 15,000, and there's 42 at the Aviva, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Day trippers.
day trippers in the stadium, and so I know people, and it's obviously Christmas party time, and lots of pints and all the rest. But I don't want that creeping in. I
Was
wouldn't
there a
like to see
Was
it.
there a Mexican wave?
There was a small one.
I'd say it was the
slight
same
smidgen
people.
of it. Yeah. There was one in the North Stand I noticed. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that before. Like, look at Croke Park, Dan Biggar, 2010, I think it was. Or
Dan
was
Parks.
that?
Dan Parks.
Sorry, Dan Parks. Bigger on my head. But bigger on my mind. He's a bigger man than you. But yeah, Dan Parks got a late
Yeah.
penalty to win, to snatch our triple crown away from us. And, everybody booed him and booed until the final whistle. And it was awful. It's just, like, it's not
Cricket.
cricket. It's not even rugby.
Well, I'd use the excuse I heard down in Thomond Park once. They were booing the ref.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but you
But
shouldn't
this
do
was
that
quite
either.
obvious because it was Dan Parks.
Yeah, I know, that was the excuse.
I know. But yeah, no, I was disappointed with that. But anyway, look, it wasn't the entire crowd. It was a small
know.
number of them. But yeah, like we have. You mentioned there, Dave, the 5 changes that we made. Every one of those lads played. I mean, like Furlong came on for Porter. He had a fine game. Tracy coming in, like Tracy's position. You know what I mean? He's been. You'd imagine he feels very usurped. Cronin's gone, or Cronin's injured.
He's still not getting the start.
And he's still not getting the start. And he comes in and he has a very good game. Fardy for Toner, like, Jesus, that's like, I don't know. You can't really judge who's better
Who's
there.
the top
really.
dog there?
And then even like Luke McGrath, he had his best game for Leinster this season.
Yeah, it is a pro game.
It's amazing how they keep them on their toes by a bit of rotation.
And let me just say, Byrne, I thought, had a very good game.
Yeah,
Like, he really kind of grown into that position of and when he came off, your man
Frawley.
Came on, and he thought he had a great little cameo for 30
well,
minutes.
He'll be probably starting on Friday. I'm sure we'll get to that. Ross Byrne, I think, is a bit of a knock, is he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll be wrapped in cotton wool. I mean, because he is kind of the only fit international I have at the moment.
Well, yeah, and don't forget, like the guys that went to the World Cup can't play the match against Munster.
No.
They have to take 2 weeks off.
Consecutive weeks.
So they have to take either the first 2 weeks or the second 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So regardless of that,
They're going
None
to
of
miss.
them are going to Thomond Park, yeah.
I think it's only the fellas that went to the World Cup, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not
That's
the
still
international
quite a
squad.
few.
Yeah, I know.
That's still quite a few. And it's all, obviously, all the best guys. So
Really is ridiculous strength in depth.
it is.
Do you have the tries, David?
I do indeed. Would you like to see them?
I'd love to see them. We got off to a flyer anyway. Ringrose after
Yeah.
1 minute.
They were was it this one was the charge then? Yeah.
Yeah.
They were unlucky with that Northampton. He literally just called it before
Yeah, he did.
kicked.
Yeah, just before he kicked it. When he saw him shaping the kick, he called advantage over.
Great balance from Ringrose here. If you
Yeah.
look at it, he'd stay on his feet
Oh,
and
yeah,
not
yeah.
go into touch.
Made it look easy though, didn't he?
He did.
It's amazing how those guys who are really good at rugby make rugby look easy.
Yeah.
I hate them.
He's probably good at rounders as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. And then of course, didn't he
The
get
fourth GAA sport.
rounders?
Yeah.
There you go.
Handball.
I thought it was handball.
Fifth. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, nice bit of stayed in his feet, nice balance, stayed out of touch, made it look very easy.
He's got some scoring record now in the last few weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, 2 hat tricks in Europe. Like that's kind of
He must be
A
pissed
rarity.
off though. He scores a hat trick and he still doesn't get
get
man
out
of
of
the
the match.
match.
Yeah. Well, don't be in a team with bloody Jordan Larmour then.
Exactly.
Jordan Lambert looked like he was being controlled by a kid with an Xbox controller.
He was. This is the best try of the night, I thought.
Oh, it was pure sex. Look at that little offload from
James Lowe brought out all the greatest hits as well, so he did a great game.
Yeah, he's outrageously committed, isn't he? He's just like,
Yeah.
whether he's defending, attacking, whatever, he's very muscular, he's very kind of,
He does everything 100%.
yeah,
I love these tries where there's about 5 passes and there's not a hand laid
laid
on
on
anyone.
him. Well,
Yeah.
Lowe arguably had a bit of a hand laid on him, but he was able to reach out the back. It's worth watching again.
All the people who were booing the Dan Bigger should watch it again to see Robbie Henshaw run into the guy who's supposed to be tackling Lowe.
Mm.
Dan Bigger actually he gets bumped, so he misses. He's late on the tackle. There.
Yeah, well, let's not open that can of worms again. Another try off a line out, but this time it's a forwards try.
Say Kelleher's raging.
Yeah. Can't believe I missed out on a try.
Like, yeah, there's a problem position for Leinster. Hooker. You could never grow a hooker. And now all of a sudden we've got, Brian Byrne, James Tracy, obviously Sean Cronin has been there a long time, but we've also got Kelleher and Dan Sheehan coming up behind us, and Dan Sheehan's little brother. Just scarily. And they're all
Well, the
hookers.
problem has never been that we could never grow a hooker. It's just that we could only get them so far, and they never really matured into. We never really went to the next level. These guys seem to be going to the next level.
Well, Shane Byrne was there now for
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
That's
since
what
Shane
you mentioned,
Byrne,
yeah.
110 years.
since Shane Byrne,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That was a lovely steal from Doris.
it was, yeah.
As if to.
He had another fine game.
Oh, a fine game.
He really does remind you of Jamie Heaslip, doesn't he? The way he plays, the way he runs.
I think he's bigger than Heaslip, isn't he? He's about
Possibly
6'5".
taller.
I think
Yeah.
he's 6'5".
I don't think so. No, I think he's about the same height and not
Heaslip
as
wasn't
muscular
6'5".
yet. No, I know he wasn't. Neither is Doris.
He is, yeah. He's 194 cms.
Is he?
Yeah.
That was
Well.
exactly the height of Jamie Heaslip.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that's up beside Jamie Heaslip when he was my height.
Yeah, I always felt that he wasn't as tall in the flesh. I think maybe he just slouches.
He walks shorter.
Tugs out very
Dave
good.
Carney again, another good game.
A very good game. He's been rewarded. We'll get to this,
Yeah.
to the national squad. But it's great to see that Faz is rewarding fellas on fire.
Yeah. That was beautiful little dummy to Van der Fleer as well, wasn't it?
Slide Home Jr. didn't exactly cover himself in glory, in fairness.
Well, he's only about 6. I think he's still learning how to do shit like that. Still a teenager, I think, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think he is. Yeah,
He
he's
must be, because
quite young.
his dad hasn't. It doesn't seem like his dad's been retired that long. Sure, doesn't. Probably hasn't.
This is what I love about watching Leinster at the moment is they get a ball in their own 22 and they just
He does well there.
decide to run it, and off we go. Managed to get to ground.
This was superb play from everyone, really.
Look, James Rowe into a ruck, like everything he does it at full belt.
Yeah, you completely missed your clear out there, James.
There's Davis again. He has a lovely style about him. He can make yards
Yeah.
through traffic very well. Can't
This
he?
gorgeous little kick.
Lovely.
That's a beautiful dink for Mr. Lowe. Nobody's stopping him from there. He just turns around. I don't know what he said to the guy, but
Get off my back.
it's Dan Bigger again. You were heaping praise on Dan Bigger earlier, Jason, and he is a class player, isn't he?
Well, I saw a class act from him. I was in the players' lounge after the game, and he arrived in, and it's probably 50 metres from where he walks in to where he sits down. It probably took him 5 minutes to get there. He stopped for everyone, whoever wanted a picture with him, saying Happy Christmas to kids and asking them what they wanted from Santa and all this kind of stuff. Very, very classy fella.
Yeah,
Even considering that half an hour before he was getting booed going off the pitch.
he's such a great pro. He's tough as all boots, and he's a great kicker. One of the best kick chasers as
Oh,
well
fantastic.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable.
Absolutely fantastic.
ever invented.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of time for him, especially after he kicked a few points that put Leinster in danger back in 2010 and 2012. 2012 in particular. Still convinced that didn't go over.
Need Hawkeye.
Mm. And Gazzer just tidying up
Nice
there.
bit of opportunism there. I thought, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were complaining about that one as well because they thought it might have gone.
Fell forward out of the end.
Yeah.
Actually, they ripped the ball out.
Well, it's I know I always say this about when whoever falls on a loose ball. There's always one team that gets to all the loose balls if the ball spills on the ground, or if
Yeah.
Because quite often you can tell early in the game sometimes that a team just isn't really at the pitch of the game when you see them stare at a loose ball only for half a second, but in that half second the opposition falls on it very quickly. And he was first man in there. Whoop. Okay, there was no Thampton players around him, but
See, if there's relegations behind in Cup, they might have.
or if they weren't an international team masquerading as a club side. That's a lovely word for it.
Masquerading.
Yeah. The one actually that always used to make me laugh was Munster back in the day. They always had this, we're here with the chip on our shoulder and we're just some young fellas from Ireland and
13 internationals.
Exactly. They've got the Irish
Pack.
Irish pack and the Irish halfbacks. So, like, great team, fair play to them and all that, but they were never...
They were full of bollocks, like.
well, they were
That's
a
kind of
lot
stuff,
better
like.
than they kind of... they were a lot better than they said they were, if you like. They were a lot better than they tried to portray they were.
So that was it.
Mr. Doris again.
Shuppadunta after, what was it, 55 minutes?
He has really announced himself,
They left the door open there for Doris.
He's really announced himself though, hasn't he, with that game especially. I mean, I'm not saying he hasn't had good games previously, but on the big stage, he really looks assured, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a superb player. I really do. I
I
think
mean,
he's
he
class.
was tearing up trees in the under-20s,
Yeah,
but to see him do it at that level is great. And also when you've got the like of Max Deegan, Jack Conan, all hanging
People
around.
are nearly forgetting
Clutching
about
it up the
Conan, you
place.
know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he's like, he hasn't gone away, you know, he'll
No.
be back soon enough, I'd say.
You will.
So we just quickly run through some of the other results. Well, in our pool, Treviso beat Leon, which was a good result for
For the
Treviso
Pro 14.
and
Yeah.
for us,
Treviso, obviously, and for us. Well,
because it qualified us.
it qualified us. Leon 7 points now. Saints are on 9.
And
We
can't catch us.
have, what are we? We're on 19 points.
Yeah, so well, somebody said we're the first team to do it. I think it must be the first team since the competition changed in 2014. Qualify after 4 rounds. But it's a fair achievement,
Yeah.
and we'll take it. The only reason I actually thought Exeter were qualified also, but because they haven't played Glasgow twice, Glasgow can still theoretically win the back-to-back, get 5 points, and
Speaking of Glasgow,
they
poor
slipped up.
Murdo will be, I'm sure, very bitterly disappointed because they really should have won that game against La Rochelle.
I didn't
They
see it.
they
I just
would
saw
have
the scoreline.
they would have put themselves in a much better, obviously a much better position to qualify. Now they've made it difficult. They might have opened the door for Saracens.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
Fagerson, they had the game won
Yeah,
until there was a lead with the elbow spotted that ended up with him
Red
for red
card,
carded
yeah.
and the try disallowed.
and the same thing happened for Munster in the previous week.
Yes, that's true.
You know, and it was the clock in the red.
Yeah, yeah.
And bleeding by the elbow, and
Yeah.
the referee gives him a red.
Yeah, it's a pity. Opening the door for Saracens, I don't know, but I don't think they were. I wasn't convinced they were going to qualify anyway in the form that they're in.
No.
But this
Well,
kind of puts the I always thought they might put it up to Exeter, but after the first few rounds, I went, nah. Exeter
I know, but they're
are
on
gonna
9
Glasgow
points. Would have
win.
put them to 13. Would have pushed them into
Yeah.
the qualification. Well, still 9 points is still there and
Yeah.
thereabouts.
They had Enya up next,
Yeah.
sail away.
Yeah.
Dutch would like that one. And then they have Exeter at home in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was going to be a big ask.
So
But in the form they're in, I just forget it.
well,
I'm not putting the camera back to you until the memory of that joke is gone.
Exeter are also on 19 points. They had a victory against Sale. Match was stopped for a few minutes because of
Hailstones! Did you see it?
I saw it.
Now, in
Yeah.
fairness, they were like bloody
Yeah.
Golf balls.
Golf balls. They were huge.
I played in a match with that actually happened.
I bet you kept playing them.
We didn't. We went off as
Oh,
well.
did
Yeah, yeah. Had a fag and no, we were in against Terranure a long time ago.
But no, yeah, they were extraordinary. Like
Mm.
so, but that's hard to know. I mean, Sale are one of those teams that talk a better game than they're capable of playing.
Oh, they haven't done much for years, have
No,
they?
but they always talk that they.
Yeah.
About it, you know.
But
They
they
won
have
the
some,
Premiership in 2006, come on.
Oh well then.
but they have some good players, you know.
They've had some excellent
Excellent
players.
players.
Yeah,
They've got half the bloody South Africans. They've got, what's his name?
Faf de Klerk.
Faf de Klerk. You know, faffing around with him. He's a serious excellent. They've signed a few more
Mm.
just recently, so yeah. If they got to a knockout game, they could trip somebody up, for sure, but
Getting to the knockout game is the problem.
getting to the knockout game is still not out of the beyond the bounds.
They're on 6 points.
Get to 16. It's mathematically possible, if highly unlikely. I think it's kind of fairly done and dusted. To be fair, I don't think anyone. I think one team is getting out of that, and that's Exeter.
Of that pool?
Of that pool.
Oh,
yeah.
Exeter on 19 points.
No, what I mean is I don't think
There's
a
gonna be
second
second
team
place.
Okay, yeah.
is not going to come out of there, and the same with Toulouse's pool. I don't think a second team's coming out of there. So.
No.
Claremont and Ulster are pretty much
Mm.
qualified, so us and possibly Northampton will come
Well,
out of our pool.
there's a whole glut of teams on 9 points. There's Saris are on 10.
Uh-huh.
I'll go through them right. There's Exeter and ourselves on 19. Toulouse on 18. Racing on 17 along with Ulster. Claremont on 16. That brings it 6. Then 7th place of the rankings will be Munster on 11.
Mhm.
Then there's a glut. There's Saris on 10. Gloucester on 9. Saints on 9. And Glasgow on 9.
Yeah, well, I think Northampton have Treviso at home and Leon away. Leon are going to have no interest in that. I think Saints are going to get at least 8 points anyway,
Okay.
if not 9 or 10,
Yeah.
and they're going to come out of that pool. The only really interesting part, of one that has something to play for, is Munster's pool.
Well, if Munster can get some results against Racing,
Yeah.
they'll beat Ospreys at home, you presume.
Well, they're going to get, both them and Saracens are going to get 5 points out.
Yeah.
Burrell Ospreys. That's
So it comes down to the Racing.
Racing
do you think
Saracens
Munster-
game is the
Munster
is the
play
big one.
Munster play Racing first. So if Munster go to Racing and turn them over,
unlikely but possible.
okay, but you wonder what team then Racing will put out against Saracens, presumably a stronger team than if they beat Munster. Because if they beat Munster, they're home and hosed.
If they beat Munster, they're home and host, but they will be playing for a home quarter final against Saracens. I reckon they're going to be Claremont away.
But you see, like they're already on 17. So if they beat Munster well, let's say they get a 5-pointer,
Mhm.
like there's a good chance then that they're going to get a home quarter final anyway.
Yeah, I can see Claremont
Yeah, maybe.
winning their last 2 games. They've got
They
Quins,
have
Quins
Ulster-
away,
Ulster.
at home.
Ulster at home. Yeah.
I-
That's going
I
to be
can
a
see them-
humdinger.
I can see them taking it.
Yeah, it is. That's
But like
the
Ulster are ahead of them currently on points. They're 17. Claremont have 16.
I can see Claremont taking 5 points out of that game.
I could see Claremont from 2009 taking 5 points out of this game. However, a team that concedes 4 tries to Bath
Yeah,
isn't that good, John.
and scores how many?
It doesn't matter. It's Bath.
Fair enough. I
It's
just
kind of the same point I was making as
I
regards
just can't see
Saints,
Ulster
like,
winning down there.
we scored 7 and we look good,
Mm.
but I would have concerns that we were. You can concede 1 or 2, you know.
Yeah.
When it goes to 3 and there was opportunities for Saints to have scored others,
It's nice to have work-ons from a game.
it is. Yeah, no, that's absolutely. But I just want to
You don't
keep it
play a
real, lads. I
perfect game
just want to
too
keep it
early.
real instead of just going off and saying, "Oh, we beat the All Blacks."
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, lads, we're dropping a lot of frames here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to restart the stream. So we'll be back with you in about 5 minutes.
So welcome back. Well, we have a couple of other pools to get through. Obviously, the Munster Saracens game was full of incidents.
Was it?
Well, until the doctor got involved.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that, wasn't it?
It was a bit strange.
Yeah. It's weird that the EPRC are getting involved.
That's what I think is weird.
That's the weird thing. I don't know why.
Well,
I do know that Sky Sports and BT get very exercised if anybody if gets caught swearing on the So they apologise, and it's obviously part of their policy. The commentators always go, "We're very sorry if you overheard any bad
Foul
words
language.
there. Maybe saying fuck or bollocks on that."
or sea bombing.
Or sea bombing. So I don't know. I've heard it reported that he used male genitalia and female genitalia.
I heard it was
depending-
fat prick.
Yeah, well, I've heard fat prick and the sea bomb. So I'm not sure which one it was, but
Yeah, but I think.
do we
What-
care?
Well,
Is it a
I
big
just,
deal?
I just think that they should possibly. I think it's acceptable if it's amongst the 15 player or the 30 players on the pitch, but when it starts moving into the
Doctors are
the
too
top-
posh for that shit.
No, I just don't think that when mentors are getting involved, whether it's the head coach or whether it's the water boy screaming at. Another thing I don't like.
So you don't like Richard Cockrell, is what you're saying?
Well, I don't think it's a good
Yeah, no,
policy.
it's not it's not appropriate for
Yeah,
a bit of sledging on the pitch is fine. It's not
That's
appropriate for
because-
somebody who's not on the pitch to be involved in that.
That's what I think.
Mm.
And another thing that I wish they would stop doing, you know, when the subs are warming up in the backfield and there's a try scored, and then they run on, and so just say I've made a tackle, or if there's a bit of a ruck and you break through, so there's a few of the defenders on the line and someone comes through, and then all of the subs run on with their big long coats. That just drives me bonkers. They shouldn't be allowed on either. Anyway,
No, I'd agree with everything he's. Actually,
I probably sound like you called me a grumpy old man earlier in the week, and probably do sound like one now.
it reminded me of something that I hadn't realised, but is now a thing. That one of the worst insults, certainly amongst children, that teachers absolutely crack down on, is the word fat.
Mm.
It really is. It's been totally cracked down on in schools. Like I was over with my nieces and nephews, and I said, "Oh, give more dinner to the fat man,"
Yeah.
and they were horrified that I
Yeah.
called myself fat. It's a thing now in schools where obviously there's a whole fat shaming thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life, 49 years of fat shaming myself. But it is a thing. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but like, you know, when I was watching that match before the Leinster match, and like they kind of said, "Oh well, we don't know what was said there," and I was thinking, Jesus, I hope he didn't say anything really offensive. You know what I mean? Something racist or something
xenophobic or something.
Well, and then like when they went to Alex, what's his name, the coach, Sanderson, and he said something derogatory about his weight. I said, "Oh please, you know, it doesn't matter what adjective he used to describe someone, but like, God Almighty, if you're getting upset about it." Now I don't like the fact that it was it doesn't matter whether, as I said, whether it was a medical guy, a coach, or a kid who's taking the statistics. It doesn't matter.
It was an uninvolved.
Yeah.
So you should have stayed that way.
If it was, as what happened, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago when England played when England played Ireland in Twickenham.
I think in Flannery.
Flannery to Steve Thompson.
That was the female one.
It was. But if Thompson didn't like it, there's another 10 scrums he can sort
He can get his revenge in,
So,
And the ironic thing is that it worked against Munster. Because Saracens had been somewhat listless in the game to that point. The penalty would have put Munster 9-3 up if JJ Hanrahan had hit it. But that kind of turned a switch in Saracens, and they came steaming.
And Farrell alluded to that during the post-match interview. He said we were asleep, and it kind of galvanised them. And that's their whole siege mentality.
So best thing that they ever did, from Saracens' point of view, the best thing Munster ever did.
But do you know what I think?
But it's a real Munster thing to do if you think about it.
Almost,
Munster used to draw inspiration from those situations.
Exactly, but it was almost as though it was preordained before the match, or maybe, you know, saying if there's any incident, we're all in this together, and we all stand up to them and show the Wolf Pack, and we'll show whether it's the English Premiership or it's the, you know, the ERC or Munster, whoever it is, we'll show them that we'll come back fighting harder than you can't knock us down, sort of thing. And they all got like, I mean, you see how quickly that escalated.
Oh, it was a real 99 situation.
It was, and there was full-backs and wingers from the right wing and left wing come running into it. So much so that they formed so much of a brawl that they pushed the Munster fellas over the advertising board.
There wasn't enough room to swing a proper punch.
Well, there was no punches thrown, it was just a few pushes. But but anyway, the result kind of has made it very difficult for Munster, even though they're on 10 points now.
I think they've gone for a losing bonus point to kick the bloody penalty for a
Can you believe they didn't do that?
No, I can't. Especially
I don't know that, there would have been 15-9, they would have had the back-to-back.
Having watched Munster over the years, that sort of thing, that kind of extract the maximum from the situation, I always thought was in their DNA, you know, because that's, if Rod was there, Paul O'Connor was there, Anthony Foley, God bless them, or any of them, that would have been
it showed real lack of leadership.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I
mean, like CJ has a lot of experience under his belt, and anyone who doesn't think to take the points, because even if they had a score, they still would have been behind. They wouldn't have won the game.
They needed 2 scores anyway.
Yeah, so but the
take the one to get
the 3 would have got, and like they would have when there was 6 minutes left or something, they would have received the ball back to them.
Yeah.
So you know they would have had the ball again.
Anyway.
So the other team in their group were obviously the Ospreys were beaten fairly comprehensively by Racing over in Paris.
Another team that conceded a lot of tries needlessly, Racing.
27 points they conceded.
Yeah. Ospreys got a try bonus point out of the match.
Their only point so far.
I know, but the point, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't think Racing, you're slagging Claremont off, I don't think Racing are all...
I don't think they're all that in the bag of crisps either, no.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not a force to be reckoned with, but I don't think they're at the same pitch as Toulouse, Exeter, Leinster, Saracens. And, you know, obviously Saracens have their problems.
You know that,
but outside of that, you know
that sometimes they're going to be brilliant and sometimes they're going to be absolute rubbish, because that's their player profile. You know.
Yeah, fair enough.
And finally, the Connacht Gloucester match was a real
humdinger.
I was watching that on the train on my phone, and I had to get off the train to get the darts, there was 10 minutes to go, and I said, Connacht,
They're gone.
I won't bother. I
Oh,
don't.
ye of little faith.
Oh, me of little faith, indeed. I missed the last 10 minutes. Came in to watch the Munster match, and lads I was meeting were like, "Oh, did you see the?" No,
Yeah, it was a
what
bit of a
happened?
miracle match, alright,
Yeah,
in fairness.
2 tries in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to get them out of their pool, but
Connacht are on 8 points. So.
yeah.
yeah, they're not. Unless the other teams really screw up quite badly.
Also got Toulouse
Unless
to come.
Gloucester did them a favour against Toulouse,
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
but I don't think it's enough.
Toulouse
though.
still have to come to the sports ground, don't they?
Yeah,
yeah, but
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be next to impossible. However, it does show progress again from Connacht. It kind of the performance of Bundy Aki kind of gave the light to the idea that he'd ever leave Galway. You know, he was so committed, and they got a lot of the players back. You know, they're beginning to drip him back in. Ulster Delan is back looking
Yeah.
good.
they've five players
They've
now
five
in
of
the
the
Ireland
Ireland
squad of
squad.
45. I was interested to see that they played Carty at 15.
Yeah,
mm,
I suppose if you're not dripping with class players, let's say, then you got to get your
best ones on
you
the
got to
field,
need to get
yeah.
your best, ones out, regardless of whether he's not having a great season at 10.
Mhm.
and maybe it was a case of kind of get him on the pitch, but take him out of the firing line a little bit.
Maybe.
I'm not sure if it worked or not. I don't know if it did, but you know, it
He
certainly
wasn't taking the kicks, though, was he?
No, I don't think so.
No.
But you know, there's no harm in trying it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of injuries as well, you know, so they are down guys.
So does that dovetail in nicely into the what's he
But we
calling
have
it again?
we have some questions
Oh, okay.
as regarding European action.
Okay.
Owen McDermott asks, what is the most citing a team has received after a match? Northampton just got 3, although I don't get the feeling it was a particularly dirty match.
Oh.
When I saw Owen's tweet, I went back and looked at the 3. The first 2 are rugby incidents. High tackles, yes, but nothing particularly. The third one, the one on Frawley, if he didn't get a yellow card on the pitch, you'd be disappointed. If it was seen, you'd certainly say it was a yellow card. It was late, and it was a bit shouldery.
Shoulder to the.
Frawley. I'm not sure, I didn't watch it because it didn't gain any notice at the time. It happened after Jordan Larmour did his 7 Nation Army sidestep job. And if you remember, the ball next went to Frawley and it then shipped on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after Frawley had passed the ball that it happened. So they didn't really go back, because when they were going back, they were going to look at Jordan Larmour. So
The shoulder to the Frawley can be quite painful, I believe.
Well, I don't know whether you've seen the Ryan one. He was very lucky from the little clip that I saw. There was a ruck. He seemed to flop into the ruck with his shoulder, no arms.
They don't like that.
They don't like that. I mean, I've seen Keane Healy get certainly a yellow card, I
Yeah.
think, against Exeter a number of years ago for
yeah,
something similar.
it's something that's certainly frowned upon.
Yeah, and well, the clip that I saw was put up by a Welsh fan,
Casprees.
so it was kind of as though they wanted to instigate something.
It's nice they have computers in Wales now.
Mm.
They have the internet and computers now.
Anyway, it could have easily have been cited, you know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
So,
Do I have more,
Wait, more
just to do with the
questions.
Heineken Cup? Well, to do with Leinster more than anything. No, the next one is the next. We've a question from Brian Hughes, which we'd asked when we were talking about the Leinster squad for the Ulster game, and then we have a question from Nick Thompson about the Ireland squad. So we'll get to those when we get to them.
Okay.
Go for it, Jay.
okay, well, chatting about the Ireland squad,
Yes.
Farrell's named his first squad.
What's he got some mad word for? Stock
Yes,
take, that's it.
he
Yeah, I think
said
the phrase you're looking for is a load of me bollocks.
it was a mid-season stock take.
Is he going to scan
Strange.
their SKUs?
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a bit weird, alright. Anyway, whatever. It's
Interesting.
better than finishers.
Well,
In
interesting
fairness.
that it's in.
No, it's not. It's the same.
Interesting that the session is going to be held up in the National Sports Campus rather than Carton House. There's a, I don't know whether I'm sure you have seen it. There's a magnificent facility that they're after opening down there now. It's 3/4.
Which in Abbottstown? Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, in Abbottstown.
Yeah.
It's 3/4
Instead of the
indoor
Bertie Ball.
pitch. I think there's about 4 teams training there at the moment. There's the sevens teams and the ladies sevens and under 20s trained there. and but it's meant to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, from what I understand it, I mean, if it wasn't for contractual obligations, they'd be gone from Carton House completely. They're staying there, but
Yeah,
if it wasn't for the whole contractual thing, they wouldn't even be staying there. So, yeah, Abbottstown is, I mean, it is a fantastic facility. Yeah, so, but apparently it's not a pitch session anyway. Not really.
yeah.
It's kind of a
It's a
lot of
mid-season
injured-
stock take, Dave.
mid-season
There's a lot of
stock,
injured
yeah.
guys going there to have their barcode scanned.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a few guys that aren't going there.
There are.
There's Robert Carney.
Mhm.
There's Jordy Murphy.
Yeah, it's probably the most surprising omission.
Yeah, Jack Carty's not going. Marmion, Cronin. Cronin's injured.
Jack McGrath. How injured is Cronin? He's supposed to be back in full training.
Suppose he hasn't played though.
He hasn't played, no.
Well, there's guys who are
There's
injured and
guys
haven't
who are
played who are
injured
in the
who are
thing. Yeah, I mean,
Kelleher is in there and he's definitely injured. He's injured for another 4 or 5 weeks.
the big surprise is the omission of Jordy Murphy,
Yeah.
who appears to be fit.
And firing.
Oh well, he
And
was
firing.
playing on Friday.
And playing very well
Yeah.
for Ulster. So that's. But I suppose I mean.
But look at the guys ahead of him.
Yeah, well, there's an element. I think there might be an element of we know everything there is to know about Jordy Murphy kind of thing.
Mm.
This is the first time we'll have all the Quaylen Doris and Max Deegan and Will Connors and all these guys in. So it's a chance that I mean, if you have too many in, it gets unwieldy.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything because you've just got so many
Yeah.
numbers. So.
And I'm glad to see that the IRFU are still persistent with their no Zebo, no Ryan. Just because
Fortiners.
no foreigners, but like otherwise our team we'll be going watching AIL because
yeah.
anyone who's good
Yeah.
will take.
Yeah, no,
the
it's been a coherent policy that's been successful. I can't imagine why they would
No,
ever
but,
think of changing.
but you do hear like there's a cohort of journalists who are trying to push this argument. Oh, because somebody's playing for a team in France, they need to be picked in the Irish squad. But
To hell with that.
like, why? Like we have to pick players that play in Ireland and
Yeah.
to keep them in Ireland.
Absolutely. Preaching to the choir, Jason.
Yeah. Well, some of the ones that you mentioned, some of the names there, Dave, of fellas that are back in the squad or first time in the squad. Like there's Caelan Blade. You mentioned Will Connors. There's Gibson Parks, first time in the
Yeah.
squad. Kelleher, which is a surprise, which seems as though he's broken his wrist or his hand. That he's back. Toner's back in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see, like, say, Cooney and Deegan in as well. Other fellas like Dave Carney, that's kind of coming back in after a long absence.
Mm-hmm.
Marty Moore's back in it.
Yeah.
Well, you'd imagine that he just wants to see everybody and see what he might be missing and have,
Yeah,
get
but-
into people's heads a bit.
I know, but like he still made a distinction between saying, right, there's 45 coming, here's my 45.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making it 46 or 47, and he could have said, well, Rob Kearney has never let me down. Sure, we'll do the right thing and give him a cap against Fiji.
Mm.
And get him. He's got
Is
three.
that the right thing?
No, it's not the right thing, but it might be the right thing for Rob Kearney. He's got 95 Ireland caps and 3 lines. He only needs a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, and regardless of that, Jordy Murphy, can't really say Jordy Murphy's done too much wrong. Came on, played for Ireland, just popped a rib, and he still soldiered on.
Well, I'll say this much: I would be surprised, having watched the guy since 2006, that if this is the last we've seen of Rob Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's such a good pro and he's so competitive.
It only takes an injury.
Yeah, and a guy like him he'll be driven to get back in, I'd say.
Mm.
So,
But like, it must be difficult for him. He's on a final year contract here.
He's in the central
He's
as well,
lost his place starting for Leinster,
Mm.
and now he's been omitted from. You know what I mean? It must be difficult.
Oh, it's really-
after starting, say, in the World
Yeah.
Cup, and it would have been very easy for him to say, "Do you know what? I'm going to go out, top of my game, playing for Ireland in the World Cup. I'll walk."
Yeah, but like the guy's like he's not 37 or
No, I
anything.
know that.
He's quite young.
I know that. I'm just saying that it must be very difficult for him when he's looking and he's saying, "Well, I used to be, and for the last 15 years, I was a starter, and now I'm not getting on the pitch and the guy who's taking my position at a club level is playing out of his socks."
Mm-hmm.
It must be hard. It must be hard to go from.
That's pro sports, Jason. I'm
I know.
afraid.
I know.
There's no room for sentiment.
the
Absolutely.
king is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah.
As Warren Gatland will testify in the Brian O'Driscoll stakes,
Yeah. True.
for example.
So, like, there's a changing in the guard, say, in the team, but there's obviously is a changing of the guard amongst the coaching ticket as well. Like,
Yeah.
there's say, Easterby and Fogarty and Cat have come in. Well, Easterby was already there, but like they've lost, say, Paul Dean, Greg Feek, and obviously Schmitz has gone. So
Yeah.
there is that kind of shift. There's rumours that Easterby could be going to.
Well, I think
Ospreys.
Easterby and Richie Murphy are only signed until June next year. So whether they extend or whether they move, we don't know. But there's an element of, new coaches like to get their own lads in. And like Fogarty's a new, he was in for the World, was he in for the World Cup? Just about.
No.
Anyway, he's
Shafiki was there, wasn't he?
yeah, sorry, of course, Feek finished the World Cup and went to Japan. But like, Fogarty's new in, Cat is new in. So are they going to leave the other two lads there? Richie Murphy isn't there that long, in fairness. But Easterby's there a good few years now. How many years is he there?
Oh, I'd say about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Richie Murphy's there longer than
He was
Simon
Leinster,
Easterby.
wasn't
Yeah, I thought he was in Leinster until maybe 2 years ago.
Richie Murphy.
Yeah.
No, he went with Schmidt.
he? Did he?
Yeah.
So he's
Did
6 years.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow. How did I
He
miss
double
that?
he double timed it for the first season,
Right.
half Ireland, half Leinster.
I thought
yeah.
he was only there about
No,
2 or
no,
3
he's
years.
got.
Okay.
Simon Easterby's the newest of them actually,
Is he?
because if you remember there was other guys like Plumtree and stuff like that, or other guys were in before him.
Yeah.
He'd be the newest of them.
Did Farrell not replace Plumtree? I don't know.
Didn't know.
I've
Yeah.
lost it all.
He might have done. But so I mean, yeah. So a new coach brings new people with him. So,
I'm surprised that he hasn't arrived in with his whole crew with him, with a crew with him, rather than holding on to some of the remnants from Schmidt's era.
yeah, maybe he likes them. Maybe he.
Maybe he does.
likes
He's
what
worked
they
Bit
do.
of a
Has worked
transition
with
as well,
them,
you know. You can't just sweep everything away.
Yeah, you get rid of it. I mean, if you do like transition by guillotine, not in terms of just clean break and stuff like that. Some say it's a good thing, but it can be a bad thing as well because you lose a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
at the same time. So I think he's probably. Should we see? We'll probably see how he rubs along with Easterby until
Well, they
Easterby's
have,
contract.
obviously they have worked together for the
Yeah.
last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Mike Brewer and David Knox work together. Jason doesn't mean.
Not very,
Not very productively.
amicably.
Yeah, and there was rumours during the week, or for about an hour, that Sexton was on his way out to Leon. I heard Brian O'Driscoll this evening talk about that, and he basically said, "Well, I just want to tell you exactly what happened."
Nothing.
He's obviously friends with him. He said, "Well, Sexton once made very clear. Someone contacted him and said, 'Would you be interested?' 'No, I'm contracted. I don't want to move.' And he said, 'But if they offered you loads of money, would you?' 'No.' And then he said he saw it in the papers that his agents had been speaking, and he said, 'I want to get it.' So obviously Sexton contacted O'Driscoll because,
You're on the radio tonight, aren't you?
yeah, and I wanted out there that I'm not
Marvelous.
trying to push up my washers from the IRFU, and he basically said, look, they said, oh, his people have been talking to Leon. He said, let me tell you, the people that need to talk to Leon is me. I negotiate my own deal, no one else, and I didn't talk to Leon. So
Fair
that's
enough.
what he said.
Why would he? Why the hell would he?
Lancaster said, Lancaster came out very quickly yesterday as well to poo-poo it. So
But like, where's this? Unless they're pulling up with an Arctic full of cash to his house, which, I don't think they would be. Why the hell would he do it?
yeah, one thing
He's
that,
got 3 kids.
One
He's
thing-
got
exactly,
a really
and-
good thing going. He's on top money.
and that's what O'Driscoll
He's
said.
living
Like
in
his
his home
wife's
city.
happy here, his kids are in school here. He's all happy out.
Just be mental.
Mini Olympic they are the best source for French rugby news, but they fly an awful lot of kites. They really do. I mean, if you go through their stories through the year, and I keep an eye on the site because obviously I watch just to see what happened in France over the weekend, stuff like that. And I'd say if you went through all their transfer rumours that they said were going to happen, I'd say they might have a success rate of 1 in 10
Yeah.
because everybody's moving everywhere all the time, and then nobody ever does.
Mickey T, you said, had a question on the Irish squad.
Mickey T did have a question. I'll read it for you because he impugns my honour. Believe it or not, such as it is.
I can't believe that, Dave.
It's true. It's true. So, Mick asks, based on the last 2 rounds of the Heineken Cup only, what would your guys' starting 15 be for Ireland versus Scotland? And then he says, Dave is not allowed to admit Munster players completely. Which I will say, I mean, it's a good job, but I wouldn't do anyway, because if they're fit, or if they're even semi-fit and well, I'll always have Keith Earls and Conor Murray in my team.
Would you?
Yeah. Always Keith Earls especially.
I think Cooney could be putting pressure on
nowhere
Murray.
near that team.
You reckon?
No.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Cooney would be a great man to have on the bench for his kicking ability.
Or you could have an out half on the bench you can kick.
I think look at
Cooney can play out half if you want to play 6 forwards.
How many times has Cooney ever played out half?
At least 3.
How many times has he started a match at out half?
Don't know.
0.
Probably never.
But look at the way he's playing at the moment. Like
He's playing.
I think he has.
No, he hasn't. Checked on it's rugby.
Yeah, okay.
like
He's playing really, really well.
But compare and contrast, right?
Yeah.
Cooney's pass probably better than Murray's at the moment. Cooney's kicking ability probably the same. Cooney's breaking ability better than Murray at the moment. Cooney's defence probably Murray would be better than him at
And the
that.
most important factor for us to have,
Yeah.
Cooney's decision making.
Well, he's made some very good decisions.
He's also made some absolutely terrible ones.
Fine, but I would suggest that he's playing far better than Conor Murray at the moment.
I thought Conor Murray played well against Saracens, in fairness.
Yet he's behind Luke McGrath for Ireland in the World Cup.
He was, but new broom sweeps.
And McGrath is in the squad, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say
As is Cooney.
McGrath is definitely
Well,
looking over his shoulder now and thinking Cooney's coming up behind me, and whether or not he's going to usurp him.
The other interesting thing about that squad that we noticed was the lack of loose head props, meaning either he's mixed up Eric O'Sullivan and Tom O'Toole,
Which I doubt.
or he's looking on Porter as a loose head option.
Or he just picked 45 guys and there were some of them weren't available.
Well, that's true. But he's brought in guys who are
Jack
injured.
McGrath
He hasn't brought in
Jack McGrath hasn't gone well since he's gone to Ulster. Not
He
as well
broke,
as,
he broke his hand, didn't he?
he did, yeah. I mean, but he
But
hasn't gone all that well.
So did Kelleher, and
Yeah.
he's in there.
Yeah,
He hasn't gone all that well. I mean, Eric Sullivan's playing very well.
I always
Yes.
I actually thought he played quite well the match. One of the matches I saw him, he was getting in someone's face. He was getting very aggressive. Jack
Was
McGrath,
Really? Okay.
and I hadn't seen that from him when he played for Leinster for whatever 5 years. He didn't strike me as a fella, very mouthy fella, someone that would
Yeah.
be, And I saw it in him when he was playing. I think it might have been against Munster. I can't remember the game, but I was saying, Jesus, I couldn't get over how aggressive he had become. Or
So,
I
meanwhile,
actually think
back
Eric
at Mickey
O'Sullivan's-
G's question,
So,
who are we going to start against? Like, if everybody was fit, and there's a possibility that Sexton might be fit. So, if Carberry and Sexton are fit,
Sexton.
Sexton.
you play Sexton with Carberry on the bench. Does Ross Byrne get in on the
Why would
bench?
you even ask that question?
Well,
Would you play Pele or Vinnie Jones?
No, well, I mean, does Ross Byrne get in ahead of Carberry because Carberry won't have had time to prove?
Well, if
his match fitness?
everybody's fit, you'd assume.
Well, there's a point. Would you leapfrog Carberry back into the team over Byrne?
That's my point. Yeah.
It just says and Sexton's out. And would you play Carberry even though he might only be back for a couple of matches in
The
January?
advantage Carberry has is he gives the coach a tactical advantage because he can play in a number of positions.
Yeah.
Ross Byrne is really only an out half. Ross can't play fullback. Carberry can play fullback. He's played on the wing. He has a lot. He gives you a lot of flexibility, which Ross Byrne doesn't. You start Sexton, but
No, but I'm saying if Sexton's out, let's say.
if Sexton's out, you start Ross Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering what they would do.
I think so.
Well, we see, we don't know what kind of game Farrell wants to play, but if we assume that it's going to be a fairly standard Irish game, because Irish teams tend to play a fairly similar game, you go Ross Byrne because he plays that he's controlling out half the same way as Sexton is.
So, looking at it from a who's the incumbent point of view, I suggest that in the pack, the two props, Healy and Furlong, the two second rows, Henderson and Ryan, and seeing as Dan Levy's out, Josh van der Fleer. Now the other three incumbents in that pack would be Niall Scannell with Best missing. He seemed to be number 2 choice in the World Cup. I'm not talking about who should be there. I'm just saying starting with the incumbents, and then obviously CJ Stander and Peter O'Mahony at 7 and 8. So at 6 and 8. So out of that pack, I've left you Scannell. They happen to be the 3 Munster players. Typical.
Tell you.
I've left you 3 Munster players there to give out about.
Well, I mean, it comes down to between now and the Scotland game. It's hooker sweepstakes because there is a spot there.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Kelleher. Cronin could push himself back in. This isn't the Six Nations squad. This is just a stock take.
Yeah.
So Cronin could come back in. Rob Herring could play really, really well.
Rob Herring did play really well the other day.
What's his face over? I thought over. Connacht had a really good game.
Who's in there as well in the squad?
And then you've got Niall Scannell.
Dave Heffernan.
Dave Heffernan, yeah. So you've got Niall Scannell down to that side. So it could be any of them.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really could.
It's a bit of a lottery, isn't it?
It is. It's
well, that's why he's got so many hookers in there. Like
it's hooker sweepstake.
Yeah, he's got a lot of them in there. He's got Kelleher. He's got Dave Heffernan. He's got Scannell, obviously, and he's got Rob Herring. So there's four hookers there, and there's also, as you say, Cronin, who he might just pull on he might just call on for the Six Nations even on the bench. So there's a lot of he's gonna a bit of experimenting to go.
The other thing is it's a long shot, but English coaches tend to like big hookers.
Mm.
James Tracy could be still if he continues this form. I mean,
he has a couple of caps, hasn't he?
If you're getting game time and bench time for any of the provinces, you're in with a shout at this stage because it's a clear field.
It's scary actually the amount of decent hookers that are around.
It's a clear field,
and there's no outstanding candidate in there, So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
You'd have Healy, you'd have a hooker, you'd have Furlong, you'd have Henderson, you'd have Ryan.
So all the non-Munster players are safe, is what we're saying, really,
yes.
Isn't it?
I'd have Stander at 6.
Yeah.
I'll keep banging that drum. I'd have Stander at 6, and I'd have if everyone's fit, who goes to 8?
Would you have Stander over Ruddock at the moment?
It's hard to know.
That's another question.
I wish it was 2 full strength teams going head to head in Munster.
You know, back row sweepstakes again.
Because the IRFU have obviously asked them to take 2 weeks off, as we mentioned earlier. So we're going to have weakened teams then in that Limerick game.
And anytime I've seen Stander play 6, he's looked absolutely brilliant. Ruddock is a great player, but he does do things that annoy me. He carries very high, for example. The question, so I mean that would be for me. I'd have Stander at 6. I don't know what you guys would think, but I'd have him at 6.
I don't know. I'm just questioning my own judgment when I'm looking at 3 Munster players in the pack, and they're the ones I'm questioning.
Well, this is the thing that
Munster are not playing very well.
This annoyed me at the start of the World Cup. At the end of last season, Munster lost 2 semi-finals, and it was widely touted whether it was coaching, players, and past players and media. All were more or less saying the reason why Munster can't compete and can't get past semi-finals is that their front 5 isn't strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yet all of their starting front 5 went on tour with the national team to the World Cup. Mm-hmm. It's 5 out of 31.
No, except one. Oh no, well that's
all
not time
did.
I was thinking, did Billy Holland go? Is Billy Holland the starter?
I would say what's your man's name?
Byrne and Klein.
I'm talking about Byrne and Klein.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And how come you're picking? How come if that's the problem of your team that you're rewarding them by sending them to the World Cup and the national team?
Skills deficit, Chase. Skills deficit.
It's an interesting point.
I couldn't understand it at the time, and I still don't understand it. And just because someone has a few caps doesn't necessarily, under one regime, doesn't necessarily mean, as I've tried to make the point out of those 5, doesn't necessarily mean that
Is Phil Klein in the squad?
Ryan isn't.
Well, he did his back at the weekend.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Is Kilcoyne in it?
I think so.
Kilcoyne is there, yeah.
What did I say? Kilcoyne. That's Kilcoyne. Yeah, you're right.
Moving swiftly on, we've already had the Conor Murray conversation.
So we haven't had the number 8 conversation yet.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
It's tough one.
So we can't decide if we want Stander or Ruddock at 6.
Yeah.
But we obviously don't want O'Mahony in that case.
No, I don't think he's any good.
So would you have him at 20 on the bench?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, that's a little harsh. It seems like he's been around a long time, and it seems people are starting to write him off. The guy is barely 30.
In fairness, I was writing him off when he was barely 25.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's all going to come. You're going to get, you could ask 3 Munster lads to sit around the table and they'll probably select.
A team that'll lose in the semi-final.
Well, they'll probably select some of their.
So we should have picked the Munster team to go to Japan. At least you would have got to the semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Then who do we want at 8 if Stander is playing 6?
You wouldn't have Stander at 6.
Who would you have at 6?
I'd have Ruddock at 6.
Okay. Well, who do we
Would
want
you
at 8?
have Stander at 8?
No.
Who do we want at 8?
I'm going to come in with a new brush, a new broom here.
Okay.
Sweep out all the dead wood. I'm not saying CJ's dead wood, but I want to give fellas a go. I want to reward fellas who are playing at the top of the game, not someone who played very well 2 seasons ago.
So who's your 8?
I'd have your man, our current 8,
Caelan Darragh.
Ken Darris, yeah, and I give him a go, and I throw him in, and I see how he goes. He's got the physique for it. He's playing really well for Leinster. He's excelled when he's come on in the Pro 14 last season. He's absolutely excelled this season. He's one of our standout players of this season so far, and I would reward him. I wouldn't just there's a thing. CJ's one of the national team's leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he made a complete bollocks of it when not taking those 3 points, and probably has cost his team by that decision.
No, I wouldn't make him captain.
But he's a leader. He's a leader. He's part of the leader. He's part of the leaders group within the national team. That he's one of the 4 or 5. Him, Sexton, Best, and I don't know Henderson, who
Bob Kearney, who's gone there.
Yeah, who would have been going into Joe's room and saying, "Oh, we want this, that, and the other," right? And this is the way we feel that the team should be heading in a direction. And he's one of the ones, and he was the leader on the pitch, who should have been the one saying, "I'm the one who's got 30 Ireland caps or 50, whatever he has, 50 Ireland caps, who's played for 7 years for the club, who can make it a decision in the co-light today and say, no, we're taking 3 points."
So you're putting Ruddock at 6 and Darris at 8.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Are you going to leave Niall Scanlon at hooker?
No.
As the only Munster player on the team? No.
You see, Mick?
Ah,
You see?
here.
Not me.
Ah, here. Dave, who are you going to put at 6 and 8? Well, you've got CJ at 6.
I'm going with CJ Stander at 6. At 8. Actually, if Ty Byrne was fit, I'd put him at 6.
He broke his ankle.
I know. And he's going to be out for a long amount of time. It's apparently fractured. At 8, I'll go with Caelan Darris. I'll go with whoever's playing best at the end of January.
I'm not saying this is the team that's going to be selected, but I would love to see.
The question was after these 4 rounds
Yeah.
of the thing. So after these 4 rounds of the thing, you'd have to say Caelan Darris. He's the best number 8 on form.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to see Darris play there, but I just think the conservative nature of international selection will probably mitigate against it. Also, there'll be a mutiny down in Munster if there's not a single Munster player in the pack.
I have one in the pack.
Not that
David Cahill, friend of Munster.
not that that's a big deal. Okay.
My grandmother was from Tip.
Moving on swiftly.
Come on, hurry up with this selection. Jesus, we've other games to get through. Come on.
We've got Murray
and Sexton.
and Sexton at half-back if Sexton's fit. So, can you possibly eliminate Keith Earls? No, Dave can't, because Dave's a friend of Munster.
Yeah, I think Keith Earls is brilliant. I do. I've never seen him give less than 1,000,000% in a match.
Andrew Conway's pushing
And he's
him.
always looked class. I got Keith Earls is first name on my t-shirt. Well, he's not because I write tend to write for 150.
What about Stockdale?
I'd have him too.
Which one would you have him?
Incumbents.
On the other wing.
And what about Conway?
On the bench.
And what about Larmer?
At 15.
Fullback. Yeah, well, that's...
Well, it's an interesting one because I mean, in all the excitement about how well Larmer played at fullback the last 2 weeks, Stockdale's actually played really well at fullback the last 2 weeks as well.
Very interesting point.
So,
but do we have better wingers? Like you want Stockdale on the pitch, you want Larmer on the pitch.
Stockdale's probably a better winger than Larmer. and Larmour's probably, or has been looking like, with all the hype and with my blue tinted glasses on, the better fullback of two excellent guys who've been playing really well. So you get the three of them on, those three on, and you've got your three best back three players on the park.
Okay. So that leaves the very last selection. We've got three excellent centres
Mm-hmm.
who seem to be. Bundyaki seems to be always in there because one of the other two is always injured. But if all three of them are 100% fit, do you put Bundyaki in there, or do you go for your blue tinted glasses?
I'm going with Bundyaki because, as we've said, it's
12 or 13?
at 12. As we said, it's over the first 4 rounds of the thing,
I'd agree.
and he's been.
Henshaw's starting to come back
He's
into
starting-
the
yes,
form,
absolutely,
but
yeah.
he's not.
So
He's
it's
not up
Aki,
to his Uber levels.
Aki and Ringrose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go, Mick.
Okay, boys. So moving on to Pro 14, we play Ulster next weekend. They beat us by a point when we played. We lost, I think, 3, drew 1 of our last 5 games at the end of the season. And Ulster was one of them up in Ravenhill. But we did tonk them down in Dublin last Christmas by, we put 40 points
Sorry,
on
a
them.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot too little.
That,
It must be said, a very unrestrained Ulster team.
Yeah.
that was the Andrew Porter
He bumped Stockdale,
Stockdale
ran over him.
scenario. Yeah, that was a bit of a humiliation for Ulster, in fairness, and that's probably why they got nasty with us in the quarter final.
Yeah,
Up the Heineken
yeah, and
Cup.
that's the thing. Like when you get two fully loaded teams, there's actually not a whole lot in it, you know. But they're kind of just, the results are nearly distorted.
Yeah.
We were beaten because we took our foot off the gas, played the seconds. They obviously were trying to make sure that they qualified for playoffs and so forth.
Yeah.
And you know, but this season, like we're unbeaten in our 11 games. We've scored the most tries in the in the tournament.
Yeah, they're destroying. I mean, I have a very limited amount of hard drive space, and the my tries folders are doubling in size.
Yeah, well, 34 so far this season. They conceded the least. Only conceded 11 in those 7 games. Our average is something ridiculous. It's up in the mid-30s per game.
Yeah.
It's
Outrageous.
outrageous.
I'd say probably all 4 provinces. Well, you have half the players next week and Christmas off,
Yeah,
and the other half Christmas and New Year's off.
exactly. Yeah.
And so it'll be
It's a pity that the Leinster-Munster falls. It doesn't go into January. It doesn't. It's not this weekend.
The,
you know?
the one thing it does do, though, is it does mean that, you know, that both teams are on a level playing field.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah. But like, there's probably a case that Ulster are the second best team in Ireland and have been for a couple of seasons now. You know, like they got to the quarter.
Controversial.
Controversial is right.
Well, you know,
Factual, but controversial.
but they okay, Munster got to the semi-finals last season, but
Ulster
Ulster,
left playoff.
correct. And when they did play us, you know, we beat them fairly well. We beat them in the Pro 14 semi-final, but Ulster really put it up to us in that quarter-final in the Aviva. This season, Ulster steaming along. They've won 5 from 7 in the Pro 14. They won all 4 in their opening games against European opposition. So like they're the second best. Like they're in our pool, and they're second best.
I'm just looking at the way the Interpros fall for all of the teams. Munster have 2 away. They're away in Connacht the first week, and they're away in Ulster the last week. We've got 2 at home, first and last week, and Ulster also have 2. They're at home to Connacht, and they're at home to Munster. So I'm wondering, the thing about Ulster is they've only got 2 World Cup players, as far as I can, certainly 2 starters.
Yeah, they'll have.
So they won't have to rest that many for both games.
Yeah,
Only 2
yeah.
guys, so they could actually send a reasonable team down to us.
They pretty much haven't in the last 5 years.
No, I know.
Like
I
they've always
understand
had
that,
a very weakened team this weekend.
but yeah, well, they've 2 home games, so they're going to play all their top players in those 2 home games, and they'll have to rest. Maybe Stockdale in one and Henderson in another.
They have a deeper squad than they've had in recent years,
yeah,
though.
That's true.
I mean, beforehand, if at the end of last season, knowing what was coming this season, you said that Ulster would be without Jack McGrath and Marty Moore, you think, oh well, the scrum is fucked. But
they've got
Eric Sullivan's
O'Toole
come on strong,
yeah,
Tom O'Toole's come on strong, a couple of
Yeah,
other guys as
definitely,
well. So
And like here's another point. Like Ulster have, I mean, I don't know the number, and I'm not slagging them, but they probably have somewhere between 7 and 10 ex-Leinster guys in their squad. I'm sure for those lads, they'd love to come back down and have a right go at Leinster.
yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, so you'd look. I wonder if they're knocking on McFarlane's door and saying, "We need to play in this game." I'm sure, like someone like whether it's Marty Moore or Geordie Murphy is going. Come on, let me have a go at this game.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the only bad news is for that thing is that there's quite a lot of guys who are left behind, who are maybe not yet international players who might disabuse them of those notions when they get down here.
There was an interesting interview with Cooney. He was very, very honest, and he kind of alluded. He said, like, why didn't you make it to the World Cup squad? And he more or less said, Schmidt saw me at 21, and he had that prejudged opinion of me, like I'm a different player at 21 as I am at say 28 or 27. And Joe kind of pigeonholed me into this particular box, and that's not me anymore. And I've developed, but he still had this view of him. And then he said, he more or less instigated the whole move from Connacht.
That's right. Yeah,
He contacted his agent and said,
"Get me up there."
Pienaar is gone. There might be an opportunity.
Yeah, he's on Sky Sports News. Got his agent straight away.
See what you can do. And Ulster took a punt on him.
I thought that was super admirable of him.
Oh yeah,
as a
absolutely.
pro, to do something like that, to go into a position where not just any player, but a beloved player, was leaving in a key position, and to go and kind of have the chutzpah and the cojones to go onto the pit to take that position. I thought that was immensely impressive.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was almost trying to follow, as you used to say, follow the Beatles after, into Shea Stadium sort of thing.
Yeah, that was a big one, all right. So, seeing as we're going to rest players for 2 weeks in a row, are we going to rest them for Ulster or for Connacht?
I think our squad is so deep that they can have one star rested and, mix and match. Yeah.
So we'll have mix and match squad for both Connacht and Ulster, and then nobody down in Munster.
No, we have Dev.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we don't have to.
Yeah,
rest
but there's still quite a few. There's still quite a few non-international.
Maloney.
Maloney's injured.
But you got to think Fardy.
Yeah, there's lots.
An injury against Glasgow.
I mean, there's guys like Peter Dooley. There's the Byrne brothers. There's Tracy World Cup. There's Bent.
Yeah.
There's Maloney. There's Toner. There's Fardy.
There's Will Connors. There's Rory O'Loughlin.
The two number 8s. Josh Murphy.
Yeah.
Gibson Park.
James Lowe.
There's loads.
Even Rob Carney.
Yeah. And then you've got a plethora of O'Briens and Burns and.
We dream of a team of Burns.
Whatever.
Well, will Rob Kearney have to be rested for 2 games?
I don't know.
I'd say he probably will.
I'd say he will be because, like I say, this 45 isn't the Six Nations squad.
Mm-hmm.
So the planning for all the players who'd be in the frame for the Six Nations squad will still be the same.
Yeah.
And that means that the guys who are in Japan get a rest.
Presumably, yeah. And quickly just looking at some of the other fixtures before we go. Connacht obviously take on Munster. The other in Connacht. Connacht, it's funny that the two Irish teams are first and second in both conferences. Connacht are 5 from 7 on 24 points, second in their conference. Munster also 5 from 7, but 1 point more in 25. All the derbies are on. Glasgow take on Edinburgh.
Actually, Munster Connacht is a game is an interesting game because for once it'll be Connacht who are more bereft than Munster due to World Cup issues.
Are they?
Because they lose Bundy Aki.
Well,
yeah.
Who's just massive for them.
Yeah.
He's a huge leader for them.
Well, your man Tom
This will
Farrell.
be the game they play him in, maybe.
Is it
Who
Tom Farrell, isn't it?
Well, there's Tom Farrell.
Like he's a super player. He's back now.
Peter Robb.
Yeah,
Peter
Tom Daly.
Tom Daly.
Well, no, there's Tom Farrell as well. Tom Farrell from Castlemaine.
Yeah, that's right.
He's coming back to fitness.
Yeah.
Because he was immense for them last year.
And especially over in Toulouse, wasn't he? Set up a try.
Yeah. There's Tom Daly from Ballon, who came good on Saturday. Peter Robb is back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be because Munster have generally held the Indian sign over Connacht, but that's changed in the last few years.
Oh
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting thing, and Connacht want their song back, kind of thing.
They're fighting for it.
Yeah.
I was going to say Glasgow Edinburgh is another game that, like for a long time, Glasgow have held the upper hand over Edinburgh, but
And it's in Glasgow.
it's in Glasgow. But at the moment, like Glasgow, like they let themselves down against La Rochelle. They've won 3 from 7 of their opening.
As an early
games.
indicator, Edinburgh have been getting the better of the derbies over the last 3 years or so. Which even when Glasgow were playing really well and top of the league, Edinburgh still seemed to edge them in the derbies.
Maybe they had to rest players and they're more internationals playing for Glasgow.
Maybe. But I can see Edinburgh sneaking one in Scottstown there. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Murdo.
Yeah, for Murdo's sake, I hope Edinburgh win.
Yeah.
Or for Glasgow win. Sorry, jeepers. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. I apologise, Murdo.
Then we have the 2 Welsh derbies. Dragons take on Scarlets and Ospreys take on Cardiff.
Yeah,
They are doing all those Welsh teams are doing
Is it
really
PC to say the words cripple fight now and then?
well.
bone fight, John.
It's not really.
Like they're
You
all
can't even use that anymore.
like the highest ranked team is the Scarlets and they're 4th. There's 2 5ths and a 6th.
Scarlets are a good side.
Scarlets are still the only.
They've won
really
5
good
from
side in
7.
Wales.
Like the 2 conferences. One conference is a lot hard. Like the first and second in our conference, and then there's a big gap down to 3rd. Whereas there's a whole bunch on 5 wins in the
They
other
tend to be,
conference.
they're kind of beating one another.
Mm.
It's very hard to look beyond a Scarlets win. Cardiff and Ospreys is different.
That's the one I was thinking of when I
Um,
used that derogatory term, which I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah, I mean, neither team's particularly brilliant at the point, but they all hate one another.
Ospreys have played 11 games this season and won once.
Yeah. But what better to get them back on form than
Well, if you
the
can,
big city boys
if you
coming
can
up?
kick the shit out of Cardiff, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
You know, the lads from Neath and Swansea have always enjoyed
Taking a scalp.
landing a blow on the boys from Arms Park, you know?
Yeah. And finally, the other game is the Kings and the Chiefs. They are blessed with sunshine at the moment, so
It's too hot to play
Yeah,
as well.
they-
They won't be playing now. They won't be playing till the Six Nations, I think, isn't it?
24th of January.
25th of Jan, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah. It's the no rugby week they're
Yeah.
playing on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So, boys, any other questions before we go?
Brian Hughes asked one. Where are we? With Brian Byrne, Cronin, and Kelleher out injured, when are we going to break the glass on the monster that is going to be Dan Sheehan? I think we kind of talked about that. He could well play over Christmas.
He's getting rave reviews. Like
Yeah.
he's coming with a very big reputation. Like,
He scored a million tries.
but he's coming nearly as
Celtic
kind of.
Cup.
We've never really had one as a forward. They've always been sort of the Brendan Mackin or the Conways, you know, that come with this massive reputation from school, and like he's coming with one. Now.
Almost, yeah. He's a big lad. He's a very big lad. He's very tall for Hooker. I think he's about 6'3", and he's, you know, he can bulldoze through for you. You'd wonder about him in the scrum at 6'3", and as a hooker, you know, it's traditionally a position that's played by people 6 footish. There are not too many hookers that tall. You know, it used to be a fashion for tight head props being what was your man?
Monstrous.
The Kiwi.
Carl Huft.
No, played for Toulon. Won a Heineken Cup
Carl
or two. Carl Hayman. That's the lad.
Didn't Huft play for Toulon as well, actually?
Don't know.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, he is a tall guy for a hooker, but he just seems to be able to score tries for fun at A level anyway, whether he carries that through or not. There was a guy, Owen Clark, who went to Munster, who was ahead of him, I think. He got bounced up to the academy very shortly after. I think it was just at the beginning of the season last year. So he's quite young into the academy, and
Wasn't he a convert though?
no, I think he's
Sheehan.
always played hooker.
Has he?
Yeah, I think so.
Send him out to London Irish. Declan Kitty will make him into a centre.
Yeah.
Well,
Playing on the wing.
how injured? To go back to the question, how injured Cronin is, I don't know. He was
Yeah.
said to be in full training last week, so you'd imagine he's going to be trickled back. He's too good to be leaving out.
But presumably he's going to have 2 weeks off. Isn't
Brian,
he? He was in Japan.
sure, he's hardly played.
I know that, but he was in Japan. I don't know where it's
Yeah,
going to work.
we don't know. Obviously, with the blanket.
Like say all 31 or whatever,
Yeah.
sub 33, whatever.
Because they're all working. Whether the playing is only the tiniest part of the week.
Yeah.
The playing isn't what tires you out.
That's true, but he was injured for a lot of them. He only
He would have been rehabbing and stuff like that. So I don't know. Look,
We'll
let's
see. Brian Byrne, did he get injured the other day?
No, he came back. Came on.
I know he played the other day, but
Yeah.
they're saying he's injured. So
Really?
is he?
Who's saying that?
Was that not in the question?
No, with Brian Byrne, Cronin, and Kelleher out injured. Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that Brian Byrne was injured.
I didn't know he was injured.
Maybe
No,
he isn't.
no.
Anyway, Kelleher definitely is. So Mr. Sheen shines
No,
unseen. Things
no,
clean.
no.
Okay.
Okay, boys.
I will stop this, and you can go to your room.
Anyway, boys, as
Very
ever,
good.
thanks a million. Thanks very much for watching our bumper edition tonight. And if you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, please give it a like and a thumbs up. Cheers. Thanks a million.